And thank you, everybody. I'm so excited to be joining you this morning. When I was invited to speak to everyone this morning, uh, I thought I'm very passionate about the continent, and the various works that I do are always to highlight what is going on the continent and how incredible we are in our different countries and what we bring to the table. And so I am sure through this organization, we are going to be able to amplify African voices and also create platforms for us to be able to tell our stories in their varying degrees from our different cultures as well from our different countries and nationalities. So my topic is amplify your drumbeat. And through this topic, I am going to share some of the nuggets that I've learned over the years and how I've managed to amplify my own drumbeat, how I've managed to create a space where people get to know about me and people get to learn from me, as well as I get to collaborate with people from across the globe. So for the purposes of this, I am going to use an acronym. So as we already know, there is the SMART goals acronym where you get SMART as the acronym. Today, I'm going to teach you about the ACE acronym, ACE, your ACE acronym. And it's going to stand for audience awareness, connect on social media, and engage in collaboration. So when I started off in my speaking career, as well as just started off um, trying to be seen and heard, I realized that when we think about professional speaking, we don't take it as a business. We tend to wait for invitations to come. We tend to say, anywhere we can get an invitation, we're going to jump on it and go and speak there. However, what I've learned as part of A, which is know your audience, is that it's very critical as a speaker to understand who it is you are speaking to and why you are speaking to them. Because sometimes you're going to get lots and lots of invitations to come and speak, and you're going to say, this is a great opportunity to speak. But we don't take the time to actually understand who it is we're speaking to in that crowd and who it is we're speaking to and what do they want to hear about. And so you see, like today, when I was thinking I'm going to be speaking to potential speakers from across the continent, I thought, who is this audience of mine? What is it that they want to hear? What is it that they want to learn from me? Because naturally, if I know my audience, I can present the best presentation to them. So whether it's a workshop or whether it is a keynote speech, or whether it's writing a book, if you know who you're talking to, you really know what their pain points are, you really know what they're struggling with, you know how to position it, and you know what type of stories to tell them. So when you are weaving in your stories, in your presentation, or weaving in your examples in your presentation, you have to know who it is you're speaking to. Is this really going to speak to them? Or am I just doing a generic presentation where I'm hoping that I'm going to reach everybody, when in true essence, you end up reaching nobody at all? Because people will be confused as in, okay, we are at an accounting conference and we have a speaker that's just come up and they are speaking about cooking. And they're not referencing to anything about accounting. They're not referencing to anything that I face in my everyday. And people start zoning off. And you start wondering, why is the audience not paying attention to me? And it's simply because knowing your audience helps you. So what I do before I get engaged in a speaking engagement, I always ask people, who is it that I'm speaking to? Can you give me an example of the demographic? Can you give me just one person? Who is it? Is it a young woman who is just starting out in her career? Is it an older gentleman who's a CEO of an organization and they want to know how to wade themselves out of corporate and start wading themselves into retirement? Who is it that I'm actually talking to? And what are the stories or the examples that are going to resonate with them? So your A is know your audience. And that means being attentive and understanding, asking your organizers. And if you have an opportunity before you go on stage to speak to some of your audience, it's an opportunity for you to understand who the individuals that are sitting in the audience are and what value you can add for them. And most times as speakers, when we arrive early, which is very important for us, arriving early, being able to mingle with the people in the room, it gives us more audience awareness because we now really can hone down on the people we've had conversations with, and we can really then address them in whatever we are sharing with them. So moving on to point number 2, which is connect on social media. So one of the biggest things I found daunting for me in my career is social media. I love social media. I spend a lot of time on Instagram. However, when it comes to my speaking business, a lot of my audience is more on LinkedIn. And with LinkedIn, there's a certain type of vibe that's on LinkedIn, a certain type of charisma that's on LinkedIn that you won't find on Instagram, that you won't find on Facebook, neither will you find it on Twitter or X. So you're looking at the different platforms and understanding where your audience is. If you want to speak to a certain demographic, which is audience awareness, you need to understand where is this audience. If for me, for example, they're on LinkedIn because they are family businesses, they're people who are trying to grow their businesses or wanting to learn from other people who have been successful in their businesses. And sometimes this might be members of family offices that are going to LinkedIn so that they can learn from other people. So knowing your audience allows you then to choose the social media platform that you're going to utilize. So for me, it's LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is quite different from all the other platforms because there you have to maintain a certain level of decorum. You have to maintain a certain level of profession. Yet at the same time, you also have to engage your audience and show that you are a valuable resource in the space that you want to occupy or the space that you're occupying. So that means posting regularly, tagging people you've had conversations with, giving value, give a nugget of value that aligns with what your brand is, what aligns with what your message is, aligns with the workshops you provide, the book you've written, or just aligns with anything that you're currently doing, because that makes people get interested. And you also have to know how to make the audience tap into you with their audience. So that means on LinkedIn, you have to tag people, but doesn't mean just randomly tag people. It means tag people who are associated with your messaging, who can resonate with your messaging, who when they come and comment on your post, it goes to their network as well, and it pops up as something important. And whatever comment they're going to put is going to be of value, because the metrics of LinkedIn work in that if people are commenting and you are connected to them and they're connected to other people, they're going to see other people's posts and more people are going to see your posts. And also be intentional when you're on social media. I think more and more of the platforms that we use now allow us to check how many people interacted with our posts, how many people actually looked at our post, what is the reach? And reach is just everybody who had the opportunity to see your post, not necessarily everybody who's commented or engaged with your post, because there's some people who won't comment, but they will like. And the moment they like or they put any emotion on it, it's going to spread to other people within their network. So all that is really intentionality, and it makes you understand who's the people I'm talking to, why am I talking to them? And I think one of the most daunting things on social media right now is everybody likes videos. People find videos easiest to interact with. So if you write a long post and your audience prefers to listen to videos, you'll find that less and less people will engage with the long posts, but more and more people will engage with the videos. That tells you what type of content you need to post that will get people to engage with your videos. And that also, it tells you what type of audience that you are reaching out to. One of the things I always say is death by posting or death by email. The moment you do something that is over 500 words, no one is going to read it. Even blog posts, you need to keep it under 500 words. That means you have to bring the most impactful part of what you want to share and share it quickly and make it impactful so people then remember what is it that what you shared with them and why you shared with them. Sometimes you may want to attach it to a funny video. Sometimes you might want to attach it to a funny story, but you have to find a way to break their pattern when they're browsing to engage with your content and therefore share your content and remember your content. So social media is a huge advantage to us as speakers. It's a huge advantage for us when we want to have workshops, when we want to have engagements. And the truth is, once you post that video and you're posting a nugget that you're going to share in a workshop, you increase your visibility as well as people's interest in then reading your flyer or reading your post or reading whatever contents you have that will allow people to then sign up for your workshop. Most times when you write a long post, they're just going to say, oh, just another advert, and they're going to move on from it, and they're not really going to engage. And the other way that human beings really, really learn is through stories. I think since we were young, we remember all the fairy tales we were taught, and all those fairy tales helped us really engage with certain behaviors, persona, knowing what is right and knowing what is wrong. So as much as you can, when you engage with your audience, tell a story. And on social media, tell a story, because if your story is really, really grabbing, you will find it will go viral. It will go to multiple platforms and it will go to multiple engagements. And that allows you to have screen time in front of people you probably didn't know were part of your audience. And that also then comes back to, if you check your social media metrics, you should be able to see who are the audience you're actually engaging. And sometimes the audience you engage is not necessarily the audience that you think you are engaging. So understanding how that works and really going in and taking a few minutes. And I know a lot of people are social media shy and they get tense when they start thinking, oh, how do I check this? What if I make a mistake? What if it doesn't work out for me? But the thing is, we all learn from the beginning. No one was born ready to walk, but now we can run. So you need to start in baby steps, figure out, okay, how do I check my metrics? Okay, how do I post? What type of posts are interesting? And you keep on growing and growing and growing. From my social media presence alone, I have posts and articles and blogs that I've written 2 years back that then someone stumbles upon and they start sharing it and it goes viral. And I remember there's a time I logged into LinkedIn because I had so many notifications. I was wondering where these notifications coming from. And it was from a post I'd done 2 years ago. And I started getting invitations to speak at events based on this post. And then I realized, okay, as long as you keep on engaging, as long as you keep on posting, there are people who are seeing what you're doing. There are people who are following what they're doing. And then at some point in time, their audience is going to tap in, it's going to spread, and it's going to get viral. So don't give up because you're the first time or the second time or the 50th time you've posted, you haven't yet got engagement. But go back to your post, reshare them, go back to your post, give them context, because every time you're sharing it, you're creating that momentum. And also algorithms start seeing that this person is having engagement, this person is posting regularly, this person is actually active, and then they start promoting everything that you're doing through their algorithm. So we've covered C, which is connect on social media, to use platforms to engage and promote. And my last acronym, or my last letter on the acronym is E, engage for collaboration. So I am always champion for collaboration. I always say to people, collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. Simply because, as Njijeka said, if you want to go further, you have to go with other people. If you want to go fast, you can go alone. I mean, you can do everything that you think you want to do. You can do your podcast, you can write a book, you can speak on a few stages. But if you want to go further, you have to collaborate, because there's sometimes where other people have opportunities in spaces that you hadn't thought of, or need support in spaces that hadn't crossed your mind. And you just being there, supporting them and offering to speak in that space opens up opportunities that you've never dreamt of. And I can give an example of last year. I was invited to a family business event in Ghana. So when I went to this family business event, I was like, okay, great. They've invited me over, and they asked me, what am I going to charge them to speak? I gave them a lesser rate because I thought, okay, this is really an opportunity for me to network. They're covering a lot of the bills. So let me go out there and see what the opportunities are. When I got to Ghana, I brought my work face on. I was engaging with everybody, getting to know the speakers, getting to know families in the room, getting to understand what is the people were doing and why they're doing it. And as I was doing that, there were people who were noticing my engagement. There were people who were noticing the different things that I do, the different topics we spoke on, the different opportunities that are available on the continent. And so when I came back home, I was really excited because I was like, oh, I got this amazing opportunity to speak on this amazing platform, and I met so many people. What I didn't realize is that there were people who were there who started thinking of ways that I could collaborate with them. And a week after I came back, I got an invitation to speak in Nigeria at a women's event around inheritance and family businesses. And it was for WIMBIZ, which is an organization I've always wanted to speak on their stages because they have so much impact on the African continent. And I got that invitation simply because I showed up and I did the work, and I was happy to navigate and speak to people and see what they're doing and share what I am doing as well. And then I got an invitation from SEEBS to collaborate with them to do a module in one of the MBAs around family business. And all of these opportunities came simply because I was willing to engage. I kept on advocating for collaboration and telling people, if there's any way that I can help you, is there any way that I can serve you or your audience, please feel free to get hold of me. We can have a conversation and see how we can work together. And you can see the impact of that is based on, if I had gone in and said, oh, I am doing this, I'm amazing at doing this, and no one else can do it better than me, people would have been, oh, okay, she's doing good, she's doing great. But because I went in there and I said, okay, this is me, this is what I do. If there's any opportunities within your networks, if there's any way I can support you with the work that you do, people started engaging and it clicked. They started thinking, okay, how can I collaborate with her? How can I create opportunities in which that I can support her? And simply because I offered to support them, they started looking for ways that we can collaborate. And from that, I got a lot of opportunities. And it's a tactic that I always use, whether I'm online, offline, or go to events. I get to know people, what they're doing, offer to serve and say, is there any way that I can assist you? Is there any way that I can support you? And if you find anything within your audience where what I do can be supportive to your audience, please let me know. Let me see how I can help you. Let me see how I can get resources to you, how I can connect you to other people within my network. Because ultimately, the opportunities don't always come right after, but sometime along the line, someone remember the conversation they've had with you, and the fact that you offered to collaborate and they've seen you collaborating, you'll find then they just come to the forefront. And I think one of my biggest examples of collaborating is my book, Raising the Baobab. It came out in January this year, and it was a book where I could have written the book around all the knowledge I had on family businesses and family offices. But then instead, I anchored the message around a guru within my industry and a teaching and a framework that he was advocating that a lot of people use, that I also used. And then I brought in everybody that I had spoken to, who had been guests on my podcast, and who hold a lot of clout within the space that I am in. And I asked them to contribute a chapter towards raising the baobab. So within a space of 6 months, I got 40 collaborators who sent in their articles, who sent in their chapters. And we created this incredible book that is now being used as a global resource for the family office industry. And it's simply because I was willing to say to people, how can we work together? How can I amplify your voice? How can I work with you and you work with me, and we create something that is going to go further? And so similarly to to the team that is working on this event and the work that they're doing across the continent, they are simply saying, how can we collaborate? How can we work with you? How can we amplify your voice? How can we hold your hand? How can we teach you? And in the same way, you are then going to look at them and say, how can I create opportunities? And how can I be able to use the teachings and all the resources that they've made available to me to amplify not only my voice, but their voice and their organization? So I think that's it for me today. I hope you remember the acronym ACE: audience awareness, connecting on social media, and engagement to collaboration.
Amazing, amazing, Tsitsi.
You're welcome.
I am incredibly blown away. The acronym I got it here: audience, connect, engage for collaboration. Um, I think the way that you expressed yourself and the way that you explained it has really hit also on the topic that Charlotte spoke yesterday on with the connection impact. And it's really something that I need to learn. It's a mindset. It's a mindset that needs to be adopted where we give back before we can actually take, and then we need to build on. I want to open the floor to questions. Is there anyone with a question?
Well,
I
maybe
have
just
a
a comment for
comment.
me, really.
Okay, good. Okay.
And the comment is the power of collaboration and networking. I've been with PSA, this is going 2+ years now. And I have found them as a community to be the most accommodating and helpful of communities. It's just blown me away. I come from a space where individualism is huge, and coming into this community has blown me away. So what Tsitsi is saying is not just they talk about it, they actually practice it. And if you're not a member of PSA's SAs, yeah, this is the time to join it, because that community will help you. And it's very well done on that presentation. Thank you very much. You were enriching us. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I fully agree, George. Exact same sentiments. Individualism is very big where I come from. Ever since I joined PSASA, you had to understand the power of connecting with others, with engaging. It's something that really needs to be studied. Njejeka, you had a comment?
Yeah, it's still on that topic. Thank you so much, beautiful Tsitsi. Thank you for that. And it's still on that topic of collaboration, because since we started Voices into Africa, I've been exposed to working with African speakers. And what I noticed is that many people are chasing their business for themselves. If we're coming for any meeting, they want to know, how will this get me an engagement? I thought you are going to give me an engagement. It's more like just a speaking engagement. And it makes it difficult for the process, like trying to explain why it's important for us to come together and share our knowledge without feeling that giving it to somebody will make the person now better than you. So I feel like there's something about the way we operate in Africa. And for us to, we can go on saying collaboration, collaboration, collaboration without doing something foundational. We might never really truly achieve that. So from your experience, Tsitsi, of speaking in these different African communities, is there something you can encourage us here now that has helped to truly build that spirit of collaboration? Because we want to build the African speaker for community with this Voices into Africa vision. What do you think we can do to truly help our people buy into this thing of, building together?
I believe that when you want to effect cultural change and major changes, you need to show by example. So we see the potential of what we can do. And that's the important part, because we're setting the vision. This is what we want to eventually get to. And then we start being practical and working what's on the ground. Are the people we're working with, are they putting in what they promised to put in? Are we making people accountable? Are they engaging in ways that they're benefiting, as well as giving in ways that other people are benefiting? There's this video that I always share where I found it online one day. We had this one guy who was at a festival, and he's just started dancing, and he couldn't dance to save his life. But he was just dancing there, and everybody sitting around him was looking at him like he looks like he was losing it. He was just dancing. Then after like a while, somebody saw him and said, okay, let me just join him. So somebody joined him, and then another person, and then another person. It's like it was a 3-minute video, but by the end of 3 minutes, they were almost everybody on the field had gone to where this guy is, and they started dancing with him. And that's that is the truth when it comes to when we do any work where we want to effect change. We have to be the example. Somebody once said to me, pioneers get shot and settlers make money. So that means when we are pioneering something, you are going to face all the resistance because you're doing it alone. You're doing it as a group, you're doing it alone, but then you are almost a lone voice in a continent which this is about to have 2 billion people. But the idea is, if you keep on dancing and you forget about what you think other people are saying and doing, and you keep on holding fast to what you believe in, slowly you're going to find 1, 2, or 3 people. I mean, we've had this conference last year, and this year we're having it again, and more people are joining. Next year, more people will join. Next year, more people will join. People will keep joining. And what we want is to then see the eventual vision where we see all these people on these stages sharing their stories, sharing, workshopping, making a change into the world, simply because we started as a lone voice in the middle of nowhere and hoping against hope that more people are going to come, they're going to collaborate, they're going to work with us. And don't get tired to asking people to collaborate. Don't get tired to in telling people what you're doing and how you're doing it and how they can benefit from it, and that you can also serve them with whatever they're doing from what you are doing. That's the job of the pioneers. We go in there, we have a vision, and we keep on going.